This podcast is brought to you by Invoca, the platform that connects your marketing spend to the revenue it drives. In today's complex buying journeys, tracking results across online and offline touchpoints isn't just a challenge, it's critical to your success. Invoca uses AI to connect your campaigns with 100% of the revenue they generate, so you can confidently invest in what works and optimize what doesn't. Join brands like DirecTV and AutoNation and start turning AI-driven insights into revenue growth. Learn more at Invoca.com. Hi, Jean. Thanks so much for joining us on CMO Convo today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, definitely. Before we get started, I think our audience would just love to hear a little bit more about you, your current role, and your organization itself and your role within that organization.
I am a marketer by trade. I've worked in marketing for 20 plus years with a focus on B2B marketing in the technology and telecom space. So I've been at Nokia for about 2 years now. Before that, I was at Oracle, and I've also worked for companies like Motorola and T-Mobile. So I love marketing. I love technology marketing. It's really a passion for me and something that I've dedicated the bulk of my career to. As for my current role, I am the Chief Marketing Officer at Nokia in a business group that we call Cloud and Network Services. So Nokia, many people think back to the 90s and the early 2000s and the Nokia phones, the Snake game, all of that kind of thing when we were more of a consumer-focused company. So we exited that business, sold it quite a number of years ago. And Nokia today is all B2B focused, still on telecom, but instead of the phones, the mobile phones, we're all focused on the networks. So whether you are on your mobile phone or broadband at home, whatever, Nokia is involved in supplying the networks that make telecom work. So that's our business overall at Nokia today. We operate in 130 different countries around the world, and we're one of the market leaders, in what we do. Very large company. And the part that I lead as CMO Cloud and Network Services is all about how those networks that Nokia provides, all of the software that helps automate those networks, secure those networks, monetize those networks, cloudify those networks. So it's a really exciting high growth area within Nokia, aligns well with my own background in software and technology. And I think where a lot of the exciting innovation is happening in technology and in telecom today. So that's a little bit about me and what I do in the organization. As I mentioned, I'm Chief Marketing Officer, which means I'm responsible for all of the marketing functions within Cloud and Network Services. So that is everything from product marketing to campaign management, field marketing, all of the communications. So press, analysts, executive communications, employee communications, basically, all of the functions of marketing for our business group. So.
Wow, yeah, it's such a wealth of experience, and it leads really well into what the main topic of our conversation is today. Seeing how many different responsibilities you have, how many different roles you take on, which is kind of the role of the CMO in kind of fostering alignment within an organization. One of the hot topics we always hear about in LinkedIn in the marketing space is the kind of potentially like rift between marketing and other organizations in the company when marketing isn't aligned with other teams, with other departments. I was going to ask you, what does that look like at Nokia, and how do you ensure that alignment, especially with your product teams, your sales teams, how do you ensure that happens?
Yeah. So I report to the president of our business group. So I sit on our executive leadership team with my counterparts who lead the sales organization, the product organization, the strategy organization, technology, finance, operations, all of that kind of thing. So I do spend a lot of time very focused on what are the overall objectives of our business and how can marketing help achieve those? So, my number one goal in marketing is to help my boss and our organization be successful. And that happens through the collaboration with my peers. As you had mentioned, the sales and product are particularly important in the role that I'm in B2B tech marketing. So on the product side, my product marketing team works very closely with product management. And the role of marketing there is really to extract extract the differentiation. So what are, the technical differentiation factors? What are the business factors? How do we quantify those benefits to customers? And to translate all of the great technology that our product organization produces into the value proposition messaging and bring that to our customers. So that is, how we work very closely with the product organization, and it's reciprocal as well. So we get the information from them about where our products are going, and make that sort of interesting to our customers. And then we interact quite a lot with customers as well. We present demos to customers, we do presentations with customers, and through that process, we get some very good insights. Questions about, why is this demo flowing this way? Why do you go from this screen to this screen? What can we do differently with this field? So we get that kind of insight from our customers that we bring back to our product organization, and provide those insights that they can use in their roadmap planning to kind of create that virtuous cycle. So that's really important on the product side. On the sales side, sales and marketing are an absolutely crucial relationship, of course. And I really feel that the reason marketing exists in general is to help the organization grow and drive revenue, which, happens through sales. So I heard an analogy years ago about marketing being almost like a silent salesperson, providing that reach that, salespeople can't talk to everybody all the time, but through marketing, we can build a brand, we can use digital channels, we can build awareness, we can create that preference for Nokia so that when our salespeople are out, engaging directly with customers, the customers are already predisposed to understand our value proposition, and hopefully purchase from us. So that's, a really tight alignment. On the B2B side as well, where we operate, target accounts are very important. So we work closely between marketing and sales on, what are the accounts where we expect to have a lot of activity this quarter, this half year, and how do we make sure that our marketing efforts are supporting what we're looking to achieve, together with our biggest or our most important accounts. And within, my team, it's mainly field marketing and campaign management that work very closely on, that alignment with sales, designing the digital journeys that help reach the right customers that we want to reach at the right times with the right messages. So it's a very close collaboration, with all of my peers, but in particular, the relationship between marketing and product and marketing and sales is probably the most important and strategic relationships that I have as a CMO.
That's great to hear. Yeah. It sounds like it's something that's really been taken very seriously as well, and really really factored into your kind of leadership strategy. So with something as kind of highly technical as cloud computing, what are the kind of unique challenges that someone might face in terms of, again, aligning an organization and guiding them towards, a shared vision? What kind of challenges might you face in an organization such as that, and a company such as that?
Yes, so the space that we operate in, cloud and network services, for the telecom industry, is very quickly changing all the time. The rates of change are incredibly quick. So, everything from, cybersecurity and telecom networks, where the threats are coming from, obviously AI and Gen AI and how those impact telecom networks, tremendous amount of innovation and a large amount of R&D investment that we at Nokia, in my business group, as well as across the company, organizations like Bell Labs that are part of Nokia, we put a lot of investment into all of that technology, and it's changing so quickly. So what that means from a marketing perspective is that I need a mix of skill sets in my team. I need people who are very technical, and I have people who have been, engineers themselves, product managers themselves, who can talk that talk and understand it. And again, like we said before, translate that into a customer-facing value proposition. So, as technology rapidly changes, we need people who keep up on that technology. And we need to balance that with kind of the creative lens. I have people on my team who are, very creative graphic designers who can take a new concept that's emerging in the cloud and network services space and visualize that in a way that's just unforgettable. So, it's a mix of skill sets within my team, and also with as rapidly as things are changing, we commit a lot to professional development. So that means not just keeping people updated on what's the difference between 4G, 5G, what will 6G mean, that kind of development, but also making sure that we're fostering a mindset of learning and experimentation, I have a plaque on my desk, everyone in my team knows, that says, I am still learning Michelangelo. And I feel like, despite the extreme proficiency a lot of people in the organization have, we have to be very focused in this field on continuous learning. So once a month in my team, we host something that we call Open Thinking Club, where everyone's invited. Sometimes it is a technical topic, something about AI, for example, but sometimes it's something like, how do you keep a growth mindset? How do you improve your wellness so that you're creative? So I think when you're in a really fast changing environment, it's critical to have not just the path towards continued technical excellence, but also a path towards innovation and experimentation and making sure that marketing stays really fresh.
Yeah, 100%. And I love the, innovation and experimentation. I think that in a nutshell kind of, that encapsulates what we should all be doing, doesn't it, going forward in marketing leadership roles, 100%.
Yeah.
So in sort of a driving collaboration then in a kind of more, in a complex ecosystem like this, how do you ensure that marketing aligns with the broader company strategy? And how do you ensure that everyone's on board with this?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's a common one. I've worked for many large multinational companies. Same thing at Nokia, multiple business groups. So our setup at Nokia is we have 4 business groups. I'm in one of them, the CMO of one of them, as well as central functions and Bell Labs, for example. And so the way we have it set up at Nokia is that marketing is placed close to the sales and the products within the business group for all the reasons that I described before. Those are really key relationships and partnerships for marketing to add the most possible value. And then we have brand and corporate communications that are central functions that span the entire organization. So as you said, it's a kind of a larger organizational framework. We have a lot of collaboration. I meet every week with the CMOs of the other business groups, as well as with our corporate counterparts. And I think the balance that we try to hit is that we have to have a lot of collaboration between us so that we're telling bigger stories, more integrated stories, and show up to our customers as one Nokia. So it doesn't seem like we're very, very siloed. So we need to be in marketing close enough to the technology and sales and the customers to have that richness of the message and the understanding of the business and the objectives of our specific business group, but also have those partnerships to up-level it and make sure that we're telling really impactful stories across the whole business. So that's kind of how we align and how we try and hit that balance in a very large corporation between the various marketing and communications functions. Mm-hmm.
That's great to hear. Yeah, thank you for that. And in terms of I think one of the challenges that people often have is kind of, ensuring that everyone is sort of on board with the vision of what the company is. I mean, how do you communicate that, and how do you ensure that that's kind of consistent at all times?
Yes. So, I mean, that is a key contribution, I think, of my role. And I think marketing is best placed to articulate that. So something that I do is, I spend a lot of time, as I mentioned, understanding the business, our strategy, our customers, our products, our differentiation. And then I articulate that into the main themes, how we are having a vision of the future of telecom, the future of autonomous networks, how we can help our customers monetize these networks, run more efficiently, and the main themes around that, which are around, cloud and automation and AI and that kind of thing. So the way I approach that is I create, I do this and then update it once a year, like a one-page narrative that is our story, our vision, the main things that we want to be discussing. And then I get alignment from, my boss, my counterparts on that. And then that vision and that messaging becomes the basis for the messaging that we use at our events, in our campaigns. When my boss, who's our president, gives a presentation, it's all consistently referring back to the same vision and messaging and the value proposition that we deliver. So I think that's a key contribution of marketing. We all know that we need to hear some similar themes over and over again for them to really resonate. So if we can create that clarity of vision and of of message and basically, use that very consistently, I think that helps our audiences to really understand and internalize the value that we create. So that creating that vision and then sharing it and disseminating it throughout the organization, I think is a really important role of any CMO, but particularly in a very complex, high-tech business like ours.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it, brand? I think, in the past it's been kind of difficult for people to kind of, I guess, quantify the success of whether your brand has become, kind of synonymous with a certain idea or a certain thing, or how people talk about it. I just want to know, like, this is a kind of a little bonus question in a way, but like, what does success look like for you in terms of like what you want your brand to be? What does that look like in terms of like the conversations people are having? Like, what would you like people to be saying about a Nokia, for example, or what's the kind of the ideal almost?
Yes. So we have, I think, a pretty clearly articulated value proposition, and the proof of whether that's working is whether that's how our customers talk about us. Have they heard that? Have they internalized it? The ways that we see that come back, some are quantitative, some are more qualitative. Of course, we do annual kind of voice of customer surveys where we're getting a lot of data from our primary customers of how they see us, what they value, what our reputation is in the market. We do something similar in the B2B technology world. Industry analysts are very important. So the likes of Omdia, Forrester, Appledore, Analysis Mason. So we do a quantitative survey with them as well, and qualitative to see how does the industry, absorb our value proposition. Is it resonating? Are people hearing it and internalizing it? But then we also, of course, put a lot of emphasis on customer advocacy and creating opportunities for customers through the Nokia marketing channels to tell their stories of success. How have they, in partnership with us, generated new revenue from their networks, optimized how they're using their networks, figured out ways to launch new services faster, that kind of thing. And so we do that at events, through videos, webinars, all of that. And the way they articulate that is a way that we can help understand, have they absorbed the value that we are looking to convey in our value proposition, in our vision, in our messaging. So I think there's a lot of good kind of give and take with our key audiences of our brand and our messaging to make sure that it's working. And then, of course, to continually tweak it and evolve it and make sure that we're addressing any shortcomings, any areas where we haven't quite hit the mark.
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail on the head with the kind of customer advocacy and customer testimonials. I think it's such a powerful tool for marketing leaders in particular. I think especially now in the current climate where I think people are maybe a little bit more savvy to kind of traditional kind of marketing speak or marketing strategies, and I think people really, one of the first things that people do, I think, when they're considering buying a product is look at the customer testimonials.
Exactly.
Is look at what people are saying on the review sites and things like that, Trustpilot, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I think that is to harness that is not only really powerful tool, but also a very kind of cost effective tool very often as well,
Right.
isn't it? It's a great way of getting a lot of bang for your buck, in a way.
Right. And it's the authenticity that people are looking for these days. They want to hear from someone else who has walked down the path that they're about to walk down, what worked, what didn't. And when we have customers speak, at our events and that kind of thing, we always say, please share the lessons learned. This isn't just meant to be you repeating our value proposition. It's how did this actually go for you? What surprised you? What was the journey like? Because to your point, that's what other customers really want to hear. And our customers are best placed to really tell our story. That's where the credibility comes in. Mm-hmm.
Do you think people sometimes get a little bit too stuck on kind of describing features and maybe not actually describing tangible benefits almost? Like, how is it actually going to, solve a problem in your life? Is that a thing that you've seen people get stuck on sometimes?
Yes, absolutely. Especially, in such a technology oriented environment that we're in, where the vast majority of our people, both our employees as well as our customers, are engineering types. They are deeply schooled and experts in the technology that we use to run our business. And so it's important that we are able to explain the features, but that is not the lead of the conversation. The lead of the conversation should definitely be the benefits. So if, for example, we're talking to a factory about how we can help them in their process of digitizing, their plant, we don't go in and say, we can put in a network with, these types of technical characteristics. We will go in and say, we can help you better connect your workers. We can help you improve the safety of your workers. We can help you make sure that you're not losing inventory in your factory. We can help you with your sustainability objectives. And when we go in with those kinds of benefits, that's where we start the conversation. And then to your point, features are important, but that should never be the beginning of the conversation. That's when you get further along the journey.
Yeah, definitely. Great. So now let's move on to the second phase. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about AI. I know it seems like a kind of thing that everyone wants to talk about now, but it's exciting, obviously, isn't it? And especially the impact it's having on marketing. I want to know, from your experience so far, your kind of journey with AI so far at Nokia, how have you used it kind of to enhance marketing strategies or to improve efficiency in your working practices within your company? What's been your experience with it so far?
Yeah. I think the bottom line is that it's a time saver for marketing when used well. But I'll tell you a little bit about what we've done in my organization to explore this and to adopt it more widely. So about a year and a half ago, I was selected as part of a Nokia, executive development program to do this really exciting program. And it started off with a week in Silicon Valley, where some other folks from Nokia and I got to meet with a number of technology leaders and tour their offices, facilities, get presentations. And that was where I really got a deep dive into AI and Gen AI. And I came back to work, very fired up about it, and told my leadership team, like, we need to get this going, much faster. So we created a program called AI Explorers, and it was kind of our early adopters. We had just a handful of people, 5 people from my team, who spent 6 months evaluating like 11 different tools, 4 primary use cases, lots of experimentation, and they sort of served as a test group where we learned a lot of what we thought could work well. But my organization is a lot bigger than that, and we wanted to get broader adoption, and sort of decided to stimulate that with an approach that was kind of gamification oriented. And we used the paradigm of the Olympics, because the Olympics were going on in Paris. And so we timed this whole program that we called AI Olympics to sort of generate some buzz because of that. So this was something that was open to my whole organization. And then I also invited my peer CMOs of the other business groups to include their organizations as well. So it really became a cross Nokia program, this AI Olympics, and it ran during the course of the Paris Olympics. We kicked it off. We lit the torch during opening night. We kind of used, again, that metaphor. We created an Olympic village that was all about the resources, training on AI, discussion groups. And over the course of the Olympics, people could compete, either individually or as a member of a team, and create a use case. We had, a lot of rules about what tools you could use, no performance enhancing drugs, that kind of thing. But we had this whole competition. And then my two of my peers, other CMOs, and I served as the judges, and we had like a podium finish where we chose the top 3 submissions across, the whole organization. Did it sort of, instead of medals, they got Nokia merchandise, hoodies and that kind of thing. And then we had those 3 podium finishers give a presentation to, my organization as well as the larger marketing organization, so that people could sort of learn, what did we experiment here? What worked well? What did we try that didn't work well? What are the learnings that can be applied, not just to this use case, but more broadly? So the 3 that were the winners, one was about web optimization, One was about customer user groups. As a B2B organization, we do a lot of customer user groups. We bring in, several hundred customers for a few days. We do plenary sessions, demos, whatever. Those are a tremendous amount of work. And to my earlier point about how AI can be a big time saver, we found a lot of ways to summarize, like a plenary presentation. How do you create something very small and social friendly out of that? All of the customer data that we get, survey responses, how do you synthesize that? So we did a lot of good work on something that takes a lot of our time with these user groups and how to streamline it with AI. And then the other podium finisher, the gold medal, was about competitive analysis of marketing campaigns. So how are we executing on our campaigns? What themes and what do we see going on more broadly in the market? And using AI to do some analysis on that. So we've continued to build on that since the AI Olympics. But it's something I really believe is one of the most important things happening in marketing, across every industry right now. So I'm very committed to making sure that my team has the tools and really like the drive to use it. And we try and make it very fun, very engaging. I know that people can feel threatened, by Gen AI. Is it going to take my job? That kind of thing. But the message that I'm really trying to convey is it is a tool to make you more efficient, to take some of the things that are a big time suck and free you up to be more creative and to create more value for the business. So I think the messaging that people get from their leadership about the role that we expect AI to play in their day-to-day is really important, so that they feel excited and engaged and not threatened by it.
I love that. I love that you did the AI Olympics. It's a great idea, especially since like you said, it is this scary thing, isn't it? For a lot of people anyway. I've lost count of the amount of articles I've read over, it's going to take these people are going to lose their jobs and these people are going to lose their jobs and blah, 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 blah. So to kind of really kind of gamify it like that, I think is a great way of demystifying it, and also showing, the kind of the fun of it almost, what you can do with it, because it is fun. Like, I've had a lot of experiences, with just experimenting with ChatGPT, even where just like, just having fun when you realize the kind of how much you can actually do with it. At times, it could be really, really good fun. So I love to hear about that. That's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just the rate of improvement. I mean, the underlying tools are, of course, getting better and better. And the more we all practice, if you write a prompt this way versus this way, it really impacts. I mean, that's the biggest determinant of what you get back. So, I mean, us as an organization learning how to write more specific prompts, what kinds of prompts return what the most usable response. That's a huge skill too. So it's the tools are getting better and we're becoming better users of them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So what about personalization then? What do you think? Because people think of, I guess people think of AI as being impersonal, but what do you think its potential is in maybe, maximizing the kind of, in terms of like kind of, I guess, if you're crafting campaigns or something, crafting copy that's intended for customers, how can AI assist in personalization, do you think?
Yeah, and this is really kind of the next frontier of what we're looking to do, in my team, is to do more personalization. The kinds of things we use it for so far, we're of course a global business. And there's a lot that comes out of my team that is global. It's the product marketing for products or solutions or technology that are global in nature and then need to be adapted. So that's where I think we have some capability to use AI. How do you take something that's written globally and make sure that it resonates with a customer in, Latin America or the Middle East? Like, how do you pull examples, maybe from the news? This is one of the things we explored with AI Olympics as well. Like, how do you extract news topics from a region that apply to our technology and use that to make our messaging more personalized and relevant for a customer in a certain market? So, that personalization, I think, is sort of the next frontier for us to do more of that, because of course, for all of us as buyers as well, the more a message resonates with us and is personalized for our region, obviously our language, the more receptive we'll be to it. So, there's that side of it. The other part that, factors into that is like this whole buying journey and being personalized. is understanding the journey, not just the content, but the journey that a customer takes. And we're doing a lot more kind of customer journey analytics and using AI there as well to help personalize the journey that they take through our content. If you're reading this and this and this, we feed up the next thing that makes sense based on their interest, just as we all see these days in the B2C world as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's great to hear. So let's then bring the conversation full circle then. We were talking about, I guess, like kind of organizational alignment, getting everyone in sort of board with the vision. How do you see AI in particular, or other technologies, not just AI, but any technology or AI in particular, assisting with kind of alignment and assisting with everyone kind of being on board with kind of what the vision of the company is and with your revenue goals? How do you see it sort of helping in that regard?
That's a good question. I would say, at least in my experience today, far more of that is about relationships than things that AI is directly helping with. I need to demonstrate in order to get alignment with my peers in my business group, as well as the broader organization. I need to demonstrate trust and good faith. I need to listen well to them. I need to articulate what we're doing in a transparent way so that they can hear it. So honestly, I see most of that alignment as being not AI driven. It's very personal. It's, people working well together. Where I do see in a very tactical way that we're certainly using AI a lot is in meeting summaries, like the meeting notes, take the transcript, you do a summary, so that when there is a meeting to discuss something like this, like how are we going to manage our overall communication strategy for a large corporate event or that kind of thing, where we're all saying, these topics are important to us. We want to make sure this is part of the marketing message. We talk through all of that. There's a transcript for it, and you can use Gen AI to summarize meeting notes. So that's extremely tactical, but we are doing that kind of thing, of course. And that's always valuable because it's nice to have a record of what you have decided as a group so that you don't have, like, oh, did we do this? Did we do this? So I think that, that vision and alignment needs to be still largely human and personal. And people need to, trust each other and build those relationships, and that AI is kind of tactical corner cases for that kind of thing right now, in my experience.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that what you were talking about, the meeting notes, the AI notes, and everything, like that's certainly not nothing. Because I mean, I've encountered that a lot. That you ever been in meetings? You must have had it where you discuss something potentially important and you have follow-up actions and you say like, great, okay, I'm going to write this up when I finish the call and I'm going to send them your way. And then of course somebody calls you immediately, and then you get another call and another call, and then by the time the day is through, you've forgotten what the follow-up actions were. So it definitely, I think that is definitely a handy tool, I think, in terms of like, I guess, speeding up the kind of efficiency and sort of getting tasks done, making sure everyone understands what the main point of the meeting was, and also in providing with them, I guess, helping with people who weren't there as well, or on different time zones and things like that. I think that's I think as human beings, we definitely should be bringing people in all the time, and saying like, this is what we talked about today, this is what it is. But, again, we forget, don't we? But the machine, that it can't forget, it's all that stuff is automatically stored and can be shared. So I definitely think I think the one that you highlighted about meeting notes is definitely an invaluable one. But I do agree with you that, I think the culture of a company is created by people, not machines, ultimately.
Yes, and you made an excellent point about time zones with meetings. Nokia is a very global company. We operate in 130 countries. My organization is in 15 countries, which are, very far-flung locations. So there's not a single time that's good for everybody to have meetings. So I think what you mentioned is really important. Not everyone can attend every meeting. And so using a tool like AI to generate a synopsis and the actions of a meeting at least creates more of an opportunity for people to feel included. And then, we try and rotate what time zones we do things in, that kind of thing. But that's a real factor in a company of our size and global scale.
Yeah, it's definitely it's interesting, isn't it, how these things, these technological developments, they coalesce with the kind of necessities of the time, so everyone's more scattered now. Everyone's communicating over devices and things like that. So I think, these things definitely come around at the right time very often. It's like, we've definitely been able to, I think part of the reason why they've progressed at the speed that they have is partly because of necessity, because this is the working world, I think now, is that, your colleague might be, on a different time zone, might be on the other side of the planet even or something,
Right. Exactly.
It's a different world, certainly. Yeah. So that's great. Final question then. I'd love to know what you think, how you see the role of the CMO evolving in the future. Like, what do you think the role of the CMO is going to look like in 10, 20 years' time? What do you think? If you could look in a crystal ball.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I feel like the role of the CMO needs to evolve towards more and more helping the business grow. I mean, every business needs to grow. There's more and more pressure on publicly traded companies always to grow. And CMOs are just very well placed to have that customer insight, to understand the product, and to kind of create that overall story that is what your target audience thinks of when they think of your brand. So I think CMOs have, enormous potential to help the business continue to grow over time, and are well suited for that. And, I think AI will play a role in that as well. As we use AI for more efficiency in marketing, that frees up time for, product marketers to really delve into differentiation and how do we make sure that we're really hitting the nail on the head, and for our customer advocacy teams to do all of the things that you described, and for our campaign teams to craft, digital journeys that are very engaging and increasingly personalized and that kind of thing. So I think that AI is going to be a very good friend of marketing going forward, for productivity, for insights, the vast amount of data that marketing organizations generate, by using more AI on that data. Again, we can derive more customer insights and more tools to help the business grow. So I think I love being a CMO. I'm really passionate about marketing. I think it's, again, a great combination of, technical skills, creative skills, and I think it's exactly what our businesses need to foster growth going forward.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of CMO Convo. For more content like this, check the recommended videos on your screen now. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a thing.